Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching channel, and I'm glad to be back doing content for you again. Thank you to those of you who've been so supportive in my absence, sending direct messages here on YouTube and on Twitter at PO Perception, all that good stuff. I've just been super busy with some work for some different clients and haven't had the chance to get here in about 3 weeks. That's going to change at least through the beginning of December, so yay. Anyway, we're going to talk about self-sabotage and signs of self-sabotage, things that could cause a person to sabotage themselves. Do you sabotage yourself? These 7 or 8 things may indicate that you have a self-saboteur's mindset. So, the first is, do you judge yourself harshly? Look, we all judge ourselves for our actions. It's an unfortunate byproduct of having logic and reason in being human, that we pass judgments unnecessarily upon ourselves for the actions we take. If I had done this, then I could have done that. If I hadn't done this, then this wouldn't have happened. Cause and effect is part of where we are. However, when our internal judge or our internal critic becomes the main voice we listen to rather than the voice of progress and positivity and possibility, we actually sabotage ourselves, because there are many ways to talk yourself out of something and only a few to talk yourself into it. It's easier to say all the bad things that could happen because there's more variance of choices of things that can go wrong and a narrower pathway for things to go right, at least in the mindset of most people. That's because we are wired for survival in thought number 2 for pessimism. So survivalism and pessimism kind of go hand in hand. The original Neanderthal and early peoples basically had basic needs: food, shelter, procreation, and they would panic about or be concerned about sickness, animal attack, fighting. And so they were always looking for and prepared for danger. Unfortunately, over thousands, millions, billions of years, depending on your perspective, the human brain hasn't outgrown pessimism as a default setting. And so being optimistic on a both chemical and emotional level is something we have to train ourselves to do. Our body and our brain is meant to protect us first. And so pessimism, if you are overly pessimistic, does become a habit, and then can change brain chemistry, and then can change worldview, and can change how we socially interact, and all sorts of other things. Now, I tell people all the time, don't jump from pessimism to optimism. That's the act of a fool, because it's a hard switch. But if you can jump from pessimism to neutrality, and then neutrality to optimism, or optimism back to neutrality, and then back to positivity, that's a better switch, because the middle ground of neutrality allows us to recover, rethink, and look at possibilities objectively. Unfortunately, pessimism isn't very objective, and we often, step number 3, procrastinate of the things we can do later. The misnomer in procrastination is there's always going to be time to do something else later. Tomorrow, the next day, the next week, the next month, in 5 minutes, when this show's over, once I beat this level, once I make this phone call, once I. The problem is we all have the same amount of time, and this is where time management comes in. We all have the same amount of time. There's 24 hours in a day for all of us. There's 7 days in a week for all of us. 365 days in a year for all of us. We all have the same value. Now, the people that are most successful and are not self-saboteurs understand present moment mindedness is the key to success. What can I do with right now? Not what should I do, not what didn't I do, not what should I do, what can I do? And then when we make a decision of what we can do, which is actually pretty infinite, what do I desire to do and what can I commit to doing should be our next thought process. A lot of that, though, comes down to self-masking. Now, a self-mask is not the same as the mask we put on for other people. Very rarely are we 100% genuine with other people, even if we think we're a genuine person, because there's sides of ourselves that we try to hide even from ourselves. And so self-masking might be, I'll do that later. No, you're really not that committed to it. I'll call her later. No, you're avoiding that conversation. I'll fill out that application later. No, you resent having to do it. When you get real with yourself and you say, no, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to find a different reason, a different motive and meaning to doing the things I don't want to do, self-sabotage ends because you're rewiring the why. If you do not rewire the why of doing something you don't naturally want to do, the odds of you actually following through and doing it become much, much lower. The next thing to consider is burnout. So people run themselves in the corner to try and be, quote, good people. For the record, what the heck is a good person and who defines it? Everyone has a different definition of what a good person is, what a bad person is, what an evil person is, what a generous person is. All of these things are terms we learn through social herding and normalcy. Now, it's not to say that we can't take cues from society, and certainly we should. However, if you're trying to be someone else's version of a good person and not giving yourself self-care in the middle or self-care during the process, you will burn out physically, mentally, and emotionally. And when you burn out, it's a form of self-sabotage because the things that matter most to you are things you often ignore. There are 3 spheres to life. The soul level. Hold on one second as I grab my phone. Busy night this evening. We will be right back. Or more accurately, there's 3 types of burnout. There's physical burnout, where the body starts to act negatively, which is my last point, which is your body starts to show signs, be it through infections, be it through tiredness, be it through physical fatigue and chronic conditions. And then there's emotional burnout, where you can't filter through your emotions in a progressive manner, so that making decisions becomes harder, because there's mental burnout, where your ability to make logical and rational decisions based on the information in front of you becomes impaired based on your lack of balance in what it is that your needs portfolio is. And so burnout is dangerous because it affects your physical, mental, and emotional health. I want to close there, but hopefully this has been helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Like, subscribe, comment below. If there's an audio you'd like to hear, also comment below, and we'll try to get that to you within a couple of days. Until next time, stay safe, stay well.